welcome to episode 58 of the Underdog podcast. Today we have a behind the business episode. We're going to do more of an update today. So last episode we talked about our trip out to Chicago last summer where we ended up landing our Hannaford deal and continued conversation with a few other buyers that we met with out there. And today we're going to kind of do more of like personal and business sort of updates where we're at. We've had a few changes over the past couple of weeks. And I think there's a lot of valuable lessons that we've learned over the past couple of weeks that can kind of translate into our stories that we have leading up to today. So I guess, Dylan, you want to start off kind of where we're at with business and talk a little bit about the Hannaford situation that we have going on, and obviously the Hannaford samplings as well, which has been proven to be a very effective strategy for us, but not without any pros and cons attached to it.
Yeah, absolutely. We knew the samplings were going to be huge for us. We knew that was going to be our differentiating factor from some of the big brands. You know, we knew going into this that they're not going to have reps in there on a weekly or biweekly basis doing demos, and we knew that's where we could really capitalize on the local audience, especially being a local product, and really create as much awareness as we could. But yeah, just as far as an update, you know, we're kind of transitioning into the fall. Here we are, end of August already, which is kind of crazy since we launched July 15th with the local sections and officially into the energy drink aisle August 1st. So we're coming up on a month already, which is just, that's nuts. It flew by. And now we're transitioning back into trying to balance school, hockey, and the business. And it's arguably the busiest the business has ever been. Um, yeah, I mean, we're a month into the Hannaford's launch. We're looking to expand. We have Chop Chop Convenience, another local convenience chain in Massachusetts that we're launching in at the start of Q4. We have some other big buyer meetings. I'll let you touch on some of those, but it's arguably the busiest we've been. And we're just, you know, taking it one day at a time and trying to balance everything and fit it all in.
Yeah, I think there are a few pretty key takeaways that we've learned so far. I would say one thing that we've learned, or I shouldn't say learned, proven our initial bias of building relationships and making that first and foremost the most important thing. I mean, we talked about that a few episodes back about gyms, right? Gym partnerships and all that kind of stuff, and how effective it would be to just work with gym management, the owner, the manager, whoever it might be, on making it a fruitful partnership for both sides and not just pushing product, right? That's something that we've talked about since day one. And it's kind of the same thing with this whole Hannaford situation where we're really fostering relationships at the store level with managers. And we've kind of seen over the past few weeks how effective that can be. I'll just give one example of one location. I'm not going to name any names or anything like that, but the manager that we were working with over there really loved what we had going on. He believes in the product. He likes us as people, first and foremost. That's the most important thing, is that we're building that relationship with us, with him. And he ended up putting us in a section that is pay to play, right? And I think that that is just a testament of our ability to communicate, right? Like we're working with them on, hey, we'll do samplings, you know, today we're back a few times, right? Like we did probably 3 samplings at that one location. He realized that we're hustling, right? Like we're trying to make this thing work.
Mhm.
And he's like, you know what? A lot of these big brands that we work with that are in this pay to play section, he doesn't really like them. He doesn't like their reps. He doesn't like what they have going on, and he simply moved their product aside and put us in this pay to play section, which is like front and center in the store. And we were like, you know, like that was pretty easy, right? But at the, you know, at the same time, it's not, because we're putting in the work to be able to kind of earn that badge, to be able to do that. And I think the other thing that goes hand in hand with that is like, you know, when you think about you kind of touched on it already, but you know, doing what the big brands can't do, right? The
Mhm.
samplings is a case in point, very effective way for us to be able to do that and differentiate ourselves. Obviously, it's more work on us, but it's allowing us to build our customer base at these stores and really be able to educate the consumer, which the big brands can't really do. I mean, granted, a lot of them already have that recognition and people know what their product and brand is about. But for us, it's more of like, hey, our differentiating factor is in our formulation, at least for the product. The brand is a whole separate thing, but we need to be able to talk to people and educate them on, hey, like sucralose is no good, ASK is no good, and here's how we combat that. So I think
Mhm.
that's something that's been very effective for us for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're even seeing the return on that already. Like even in Townsend the other day. Okay, I've been in there 3 times. I think you've been in there twice. I think we maybe done 4 or 5 samplings between the two of us there. And we had a guy come in. He's like, "Hey, like you were in last time. I got the last couple cans. I looked into your guys' story. Like you guys are the college athletes. Da 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 da. Like this is super cool. Rooting for you. And it's like, damn, like that's really cool. And that's what it's all about. And the main reason why we do what we do at the store level, why we feel the samplings are so effective because of reasons like that. And there's a few other repeats that we've seen, even just in the first month now where it's like, okay, what we're doing is working. Like this is cool. We're seeing the product move on its own too. We've had it into stores for repeats, and that we see the products moving on its own. There's only 8 Blu-rays on the shelf, or there's people coming in. Hey, I loved it last time. Some even the workers, so it's cool to see that what we're doing is working. And now it's just a matter of like, that exponential growth. We continue to get into these locations. Okay, more and more people know about it. They're telling more and more people, and before we know it, we've really established ourselves, in the Hannafords, and then it becomes, the next chain, whether maybe it's Wegmans, whatever it might be, Market Basket, all potential opportunities that we have coming, and it's just about slowly building about our backyard, which is what we've talked about doing since the beginning. This has been in the plan from the start, and we're sticking to it because we're seeing what we're doing is paying off. And I think on a day to day basis, it's easy to get caught up in, okay, this one isn't moving. Well, if we take a step back, okay, it's been a month, and look at how much product we've been able to move, and it's just continuing to grow. Okay, we're going to add another chain in the fall here in October. Like it's just so easy to get caught up in the day to day, and you just got to take a step back sometimes. And I know we've talked about that before, but just taking a step back and looking what we've been able to accomplish and do in such a short period of time. And even on the relationship piece, I'll just touch on that quickly too. Like for I guess people that don't know what the Hannafords are set up like, or any grocery store, what we're looking at as far as being an energy product in a grocery store, you typically have your dry aisle, your energy drink aisle, where you're buying them at room temperature. um, which people, okay, if they're buying them there, they're not drinking them right away, or usually not. And that's, they're buying 3, 4, whatever it might be for a later date. And, you know, if a customer's coming in to buy a cold drink to have right now, they're buying it at the front in the coolers, the till side coolers, or in this case, the cold, refreshing, ready to go. Every Hannaford has this one. It's a big blue sign right in the middle. And yeah, that's what we've been able to get in that one location that you discussed. And I mean, that's eventually what we want to accomplish in all of them. Because even when I went back in there, he's like, "Hey, there's only a few left," and we were both kind of surprised by that. Like it really picks up when you can incorporate the right style of marketing, and even that's a marketing mechanism in its own. But it's neat to see that what we're doing is paying off, and we're having success with the launch. Call it 4 to 6 weeks into this.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is something to say about that too in terms of placement and pay to play and all this sort of stuff because it's easy to take a look at it from an outside perspective and be like, I'm just going to throw a number out there, but say it's $5,000, right, to be in that fridge or something like that. And for a smaller brand, it's like, holy shit, like we can't manage that or whatever it might be. But when you take it as an investment, right, and less of an expense, because that's what it is, it's an investment. In this case, right, you're going to be moving more volume, moving more product, getting into more people's hands. I think that's something that a lot of people don't really take into consideration. It's something that we're working on now as we're getting into kind of the nitty gritty of promos and what are our margins going to look like. And it's easy to look at it and be like, damn, like that really cuts into our margins or whatever it might be. We're trying to do this new initiative or marketing strategy per se with the cardboard displays in the stores, and that's a significant investment for us. And oftentimes at different locations, depending on if it's a chain or an independent, whatever it might be, that's going to be pay to play. It's going to cost you money, but it's also an investment. It's an investment in brand awareness and getting it in more people's hands, getting people to see. It's just even see the logo, right? And this
Mhm.
kind of goes back to we've talked about Nike before, but when you think of Nike and you see their font, right? Like their Nike font, this font when you see it. It can be whatever words that it might be, as long as it's in this font, doesn't even have to have the logo on it, and you see that, you're like, that's a Nike advertising campaign. Where, and I think that is a testament of marketing, like successful marketing. And I think that when you get out at the store level, those sorts of things are very important. And when you're going down the aisle, right, and you see these cardboard displays, it's easy to just walk by a shelf without looking at whatever products might be on it. But if you see a cardboard display that has effective, word tracks on it, um, people take notice. And I think a good example of that is like Super Coffee. I think they do a great job of it. I've seen it in a few different chains that they have, and like it's crazy how effective that can be, with just a little bit of an investment, right, into your marketing campaigns at these different chains. And obviously it varies, right? Like when you're looking at a Whole Foods versus a, say, Market Basket, right? Market Basket is more for your dollar. So like those cardboard displays might be more geared towards a promo, right? Like saving money or something like that. But at Whole Foods, it might be like natural flavors, colors, and sweeteners or something like that that can really resonate with that consumer. So it all comes into play, in terms of the marketing strategy and the investments that you're going to make to put yourself in a position to succeed at that particular chain. So it's been very interesting over the past few weeks as we kind of dive into that side of it, and also pick the brains of other founders and CEOs of other beverage brands and kind of see what they're doing. What is good for moving volume on a weekly basis, or what marketing strategies are they implementing at the store level and all that kind of stuff. So we've really just taken that all in over the past few weeks. And I guess now, that we're trying to raise more money to be able to increase our production volumes and have these effective marketing strategies at stores and different chains and whatnot, and potentially hire some sales reps to help us on the ground. Um, we've done a good job of finding the right people. I think we've talked about that from the start. Jim Collins talks about it in his books, getting the right people on the bus. And I think
Mm.
that's exactly what we're doing. Like one of our recent investors, well, very recent investors this past weekend, he's very involved in, bringing health to individuals and athletes in particular, right? Being involved in a gym and having supplements of their own, like those sorts of things. It's important to have people that have the same vision. Like, can you imagine us, like if we had two totally different ends of the spectrum in terms of vision and mindset? Like it just would clash all the time. It wouldn't work. So I think,
Yeah.
that's something that we've done a really good job of. And it's not to say that we would pass up on, say, an investor that wanted to put equity into the company or something like that. Like that would probably be a little bit different. But for someone that wants to be a little bit more hands-on, it's so important to make sure that the stars align in terms of, correlative missions and visions. So
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said too, on the investment point of, okay, marketing materials, we can't look at this as an expense. We have to look at it as an investment. And even the samplings as a whole, and not just at Hannaford's too. I was going to talk about Foley's. Like, I know we've mentioned Foley's being one of our best gym partnerships in the past, but like, look after this weekend, what basically investing our time and doing samplings there. We did 5 or 6 samplings over the course of 3 4 months there, but look at what that investment has turned into, literally, and even just from a number standpoint. Like we dropped another order off this morning. We went from moving 9 cans a month, which is fairly slow, but understanding, because I think if you look at Foley's, like look at the competitive landscape that you're trying to compete in as far as a beverage in that gym. Like, I mean, they have First Form, they have Ghost, they have every flavor of Celsius, C4, every big name out there. They have 2 full coolers of it, and there are 2 lonely SKUs, and we
yeah,
move
and
9 cans
placement,
a
poor
month.
placement too, like in the bottom corner.
Originally, we weren't even in the front. We weren't even in the
Yeah,
front. We were in the cafe cooler before.
yeah.
Then we work our way into the front and we do a few more samplings. And now we're moving essentially 4 cases. It'll be on pace for 5 cases a month, from 9 cans to 5 cases. It's pretty substantial. And again, like that is the whole point. Like, yes, it took us 6 7 months to do this, but like we stuck to the plan. We stuck to, you know, our regimen of, okay, how are we going to get to our end goal? And we really did. We built that community and been involved in that community in Foley's. Like, they, all those members, there's thousands of members there, hundreds of members. um, they all have their go-to products, and now we've kind of established ourselves and like penetrated into that community, and now we're a part of that Foley's community, and everyone knows, oh, the Underdog brand, like it's you, local UNE students, and we've done exactly what we wanted to do. We built a community around our product at a facility where it's tailored towards athletes and tailored towards health conscious individuals that are trying to better themselves in the gym. And like, it's neat. It's like, wow, okay, we did what we wanted to do on a broad scale. So it's,
Mhm.
again, even just investing our time into a relationship like that, you see the fruits of labor.
Yeah, and I think it also is in it's very important to note word of mouth marketing because you talk about like people that are, they stick to their regimen. They have their supplements that they use, and that's it. And they're very close-minded in terms of kind of other products that come into the market. And I think if you just convert a couple of those people, and all of a sudden they're using Underdog Energy before their workouts instead of some other pre-workout or some other energy drink, whatever it is, and their workout partner, say they're going to the gym with their workout partner, and all of a sudden their workout partner sees that they're drinking Underdog Energy every day. They're like, oh, like what is that? Like what's that all
Mhm.
about? And then they try it, and they're going to be far more inclined to try it and also convert if their workout partner is. I mean, take us for an example, right? Like over the past couple of years that we're training together consistently, we use the same supplements basically. I
Mhm.
think the only difference is that I don't use creatine. Like that's probably the only difference. But like I think across the spectrum of people and people that do have workout partners, like for the most part, like they're kind of consuming the same stuff and they're trying the same products and all that kind of stuff. So I find it
Mhm.
interesting because if you don't have that word of mouth marketing and the sort of feedback and reviews from those closed-minded individuals that are willing to convert, you could throw as many marketing campaigns, paid advertising campaigns out there that you want to, but if you're not converting people through word of mouth marketing, you're just throwing money at a wall. Because I still think today, to this day, that's the most effective way to get the product out there. So we don't have a question of the week this week, but what I was thinking is that in replacement, we can kind of talk about where we're at on personal side of things. So whether it's training, I know we've had kind of over the past, well, this summer in general, and more so the past couple of weeks, we've kind of been going back and forth about it in terms of where our training's been at in terms of strength or how we're feeling and all that kind of stuff. I know you in particular with your knee and now potentially your shoulder, but if you kind of want to, we'll dive into that a little bit, talk about our training and kind of where we're at heading back into school now as well.
Yeah, I guess the maybe the best way to describe it, one, it's been frustrating, but I think the best way to describe it is kind of almost like in a funk. Like, finish the powerlifting meet at the end of May or start of May, like at the end of the school year and hockey season. It was like a nice change of pace, and then it was like, okay, time to get back into training like a hockey player. And I was excited for it at first, and then kind of just got in this funk because then, okay, I had to lose a bit of weight, so I came down, 12 pounds, lost a little bit of strength, so that plays a part of it where I'm like in my head, okay, I'm getting weaker, and then yeah, my knees have been really flared up just as of late, and I don't really understand why because it's something that I've been managing for essentially seven years now, 7 seasons, and I know what I can and can't do, and where my limitations are, and I can get the most out of my training. And for whatever reason, this summer, the one in particular is just really flared up where I can't squat heavy, and that's probably the first time really since this process or this um, injury has where it's hindered me from doing that. I've usually been able to get away from it or get away with it and train and do what I can. And there's certain things I can't do or try to avoid. And yeah, for whatever reason, it's flared up this summer, which has been a real bummer. Our skates ended at the start of April or start of August there, and I was like, okay, it'll give myself a couple weeks before we get into the swing of things with the season. And we're back skating every day and training, and I needed to be in a certain condition where I can manage it and get through, and it's not in that position. And then yeah, you just kind of add the everyday stress of everything else going on, trying to get back into school, everything we have going on at the business. Okay, are my meals where they are? Am I eating enough? Probably not. Am I sleeping? Probably not. Like, it's all factors that play into it. And all of it kind of just takes a toll mentally, I think is the best way to put it, because then I know I'm not getting the most out of my training. And that's why I kind of just classify it as like, you're kind of just in a funk. Like, you can't seem to like break out of this groove. So I guess that's why I'm excited to get back to school. A new place, like, change of scenery, new gym, get back with the boys, kind of get back into the swing of things as far as, our normal routine here. I'm hoping that kind of fixes some of it. We'll be back on our own, cooking our own meals. And I hope that helps and just develop, that consistent routine as far as the sleeping pattern too. And I think it's just resetting my expectations too. Like, okay, I gotta get out of this headspace where I think I'm gonna be as strong right now in season as I was when I did a powerlifting meet. Like, I'm not, and I need to get back into hockey shape, like into game shape. And I think yesterday too, that was another like mental toll. We play 4-on-4 for 25 minutes and I'm dying. Like, that's typical. You're not going to be in game shape for your first skate of the year, but you're like, okay, I have some work to do. Like, I got to get my skating legs and lungs back into it. And then you throw the knee in there. It's like, okay, well, I really need to be avoiding stuff like this to let it heal. And it's just, yeah, it's just tough. You're just in a funk. That's
Yeah.
just the best way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think everybody, every athlete at one point or another goes through that. I think more often than we think too. Like I would say at least once a year that's going to happen. I mean, when you think about it from a broad spectrum too, like when you're going into the gym, I feel like more days than not, you kind of don't feel the best. And then you know the days I'm talking about where and then there's a day where you go in there and you feel like you could work out all day. Like we've talked about
Mhm.
that so many times, but those days are few and far between. Like it's not an everyday kind of thing. It's inevitable, especially like being at the point where we are now. Seniors in college and all that kind of stuff. Like your body takes a toll over the course of a hockey career. And I think at this point, it's more of like, the perspective I've taken is at least, and, like you said too, like now, we get back in school, the business is running on, all cylinders and all that kind of stuff. Like time is of the essence and it's very hard to come by. So for me, like my training's more about efficiency now and like not wasting time in the gym. Like you go in there, you get what you need to get done, and that's it. And you move on to the next day, regardless
Mhm.
of whether it was a good workout, a bad workout, whatever it might be. And the other thing is being more lenient, like with the scheduling, right? Like that was something I realized this summer. Like for me, previous summers, it's always been Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday are my lifts, and Wednesday and Saturday is some sort of conditioning. Sundays generally active recovery or off. And like this summer, it was more of like, hey, like Monday, I'm working from you know 8 to 3, and then we have underdog stuff from 3:30 to freaking 9:30 at night. It's like, okay, well, is it going to be productive to work out from 10 to 12 a.m.? Like, probably not, because you're going to get 5 hours of sleep that night, and you're going to do the same thing again the next day. So and then I bump my workout to start on Tuesday, so I do Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday split for a lift or something like that. So just being more lenient and kind of understanding of the demands of the schedule, and also like prioritizing, like is this, say we have a meeting or something on a Monday that pushes that lift off to the next day, like that meeting is going to be priority because, hey, that might not be able to happen tomorrow. Or that opportunity might disappear. Whereas a lift, like, yeah, you
Mhm.
just bump it up a day. That's it. And you make it happen. And it sucks because I love working out every single day, but that shit's going to happen, especially when you're growing a business. And now that we're back in school too, that's going to happen more and more often where you're gonna have to kind of figure out like what's gonna be the sacrifice today, type of thing. Like for me, more often than not, it's probably gonna be class. Like that's just the fact of the matter. Like that's what it's gonna be, and it's different for everybody. I don't expect anybody else to do that, but that's just kind of where my mindset is. It's always gonna be uh, understanding of kind of what's the future. What does the future landscape look like for me or for whoever it is that has to make those decisions? And like for me, it's underdog, right? Like that is going to be the future, at least the goal, anyways. So yeah, so that's kind of obviously battling injuries along the way to the herniated disc that I got last March has kind of just been this long drag. I don't think it's probably ever going to be the same, honestly. It's more of just kind of figuring out putting band-aids, wearing a belt now, basically most workouts, any sort of hinge exercises or squats or anything like that, which I never really used to do. So it's unfortunate, but once again, like there's a conflict or a problem, you just got to find a solution for it. It's not always going to be the best
Mhm.
solution, but as long as it gets you by, that's kind of what it is. So But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at right now. We're hoping that the next episode will be a behind the underdogs. We got a couple interviews lined up, just not sure when they're going to come out. So stay tuned for that, and be on the lookout on our Instagram for submitting Q&A questions. We didn't post one this past week, which is why we don't have a Q&A today. But be on the lookout for it. Submit any questions you might have, whether it's business, sports related, workout related, whatever it might be. We love to kind of share that stuff on the podcast. So give us a follow on Instagram at underdog_brand. Be sure to leave a review and a like on whatever streaming platform you're on. And we appreciate you guys for listening. We love doing this, and hopefully we can continue doing it. Obviously, the feedback we've gotten so far has been great. So thanks for listening. We'll see you guys on the next episode.